What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Houston Productions video. I'm your host Lucas to bring you the first video of 2023. But before I can do that, guys, I need y'all to be aware of a couple things. One, I hope you had a great holidays with your friends, your family, or even if you just spent it by yourself, I hope you found something great to watch. Number two, I just want to say Happy New Year, guys. It's a new year, it's a new time, new movies, new TV shows. There's a lot of great stuff coming and a lot of great content that is going to be coming to this channel, which brings me to number three. If you are not subscribed, and most of my returning viewers right now are not subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and then go ahead and give it a share. If you don't like this video, no problem, guys. Just like there are plenty of TV shows and movies out there for you to watch, there are plenty of other recommendation shows out there. But I can't thank you enough for tuning into another Houston Productions video. With that being said, guys, we're talking about early Oscar predictions. Yes, I'm going to be breaking down, mentioning my early predictions for this year's Oscars. 10 nominees, 10 nominations. I'm going to be going through where to find them, a little bit about them. They're not going to be full reviews, but if you want to see full reviews of these movies, drop a comment down below. Let me know which ones you'd like to see, or just say, hey, go ahead and give all these a review. I'd like a little bit more detail. Not a problem. So like I said, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into who I think is going to be nominated and possibly winning the 2023 Oscar for Best Picture. So let's jump right in, shall we? And jumping right into who I think is going to be probably the latest release movie that's going to be nominated for an Oscar, I'm talking about Babylon. And unfortunately, guys, Babylon can only be found in theaters right now. But as we get closer to awards time, which is going to be in March, keep an eye out because I imagine this will hit a streaming service and will gain a lot more popularity because right now it's kind of struggling at the box office. But don't sleep on this movie, guys. It's an entertaining movie. It's something the Academy likes. It is basically an ode to old school Hollywood. It's helmed by people such as Tobey Maguire, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. It has a fantastic cast. It is, like I said, an ode to old school Hollywood. The premise is simple. Movies are becoming talkies. It's another similar movie to like Singing in the Rain. And in fact, if you stay towards the last section of the movie, it is a little bit of a long movie, so prepare yourself. There is actually an ode to Singing in the Rain. But yes, just like in Singing in the Rain, where people are going from silent films and struggling how to find that transition into talkies, this is very much a similar kind of idea, but this is not a full-on musical. So if something like that seems interesting to you, like I said, go check it out in theaters or keep an eye on all those main streaming services because it's probably going to drop onto one of them right before Oscars hit to kind of give it that last little bit of Oscar surge. Now, do I think that this movie is going to win? I don't think so. With a cast like Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, it's hard to imagine this movie not being a frontrunner, but it's just not. It's just not doing the kind of numbers that some of the other movies on this list are doing, and it just doesn't have the wide-scale appeal that a Best Picture winning movie should have at this point. So, do I think this will get a nomination? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to win? Probably not. But go ahead and check out Babylon either way and let me know what you think about it down there in the comments. And jumping right into my second movie that I think is going to be nominated at this year's Academy Awards, it's none other than a biopic. Yes, a biopic for some reason here in the recent, 5, 6, maybe 7 years has been the go-to Oscar frontrunner for a lot of these. And this one is, I think, not going to be any different because right now it appears to be the crowd favorite. I'm talking about Elvis. And right now you can actually stream Elvis on HBO Max, so go ahead and, renew that HBO Max subscription or go ahead and just boot up HBO Max if you already had that subscription and give Elvis a watch. It is a little on the longer side too. That seems to be a little bit of a trend of movies this year, that they tend to be a little long. And this isn't going to be the longest one on the list by a long shot. But go ahead and check out Elvis. Obviously, it's a biopic, centering around Elvis. This movie is also told from the point of view of his manager, which is a slightly different telling on a biopic, the manager being played by Tom Hanks. So go ahead and check out Elvis if you haven't done so already. And yeah, give it a good watch. Give it a recommendation. Let me know what you thought about Elvis if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and give it a watch off of HBO Max or rent it, through Apple TV, Prime, Tubi, YouTube TV Prime. Whatever you feel like your streaming service is, go ahead and give it a watch because I definitely think you're going to see this one on the Oscar nomination list. And moving right into the third movie going to be nominated for an Academy Award. And like I said, guys, this is just my opinion. Their nominations aren't official yet. But whenever they do become official, tune back here into Houston Productions because I'll be going through all the categories, talking about who is nominated, the productions, and who I think is going to be winning. It's something that I do every year with my students, and I'll be bringing it to you here on Houston Productions, so don't miss that video as nominations do come out. But the third movie I'm talking about is a big one. It's a movie that's been decades in the making. A lot of people were excited. A lot of people were disappointed that it got pushed due to COVID, but getting the chance to see this in theaters was well worth the wait. And I'm talking about Top Gun Maverick. Now, Top Gun Maverick can be streamed right now on Paramount Plus, which is surprisingly got a few little good nuggets of things on it right now. So definitely check out Paramount Plus if you haven't done so. Sign up for that free trial or go ahead and just sign up for the subscription and pay for it. Support the creators, guys. A lot of us in the industry would love the extra support. But yes, Top Gun Maverick is the sequel to the original Top Gun. Tom Cruise is returning as himself, and you will be able to check out Miles Teller, who is basically the second lead in this movie. It is a little bit of just a retelling of Top Gun for a newer generation, but there's nothing wrong with that. Great sequences, great cast, great chemistry, decent story. Do I think this movie is going to win? I don't think so. I think it's a crowd favorite right now, and I think that people really enjoyed it, but it may just be the nostalgia that people enjoyed. The movie itself was a great popcorn flick. It was very entertaining, but I don't think it has the caliber to be able to walk out, on Oscar night with the Best Picture. But nonetheless, I do not think that this is going to miss a nomination. I fully think that this is going to be up there, and it will definitely at least try to make a very solid Best Picture push come Oscar time. And my next movie that I predict is going to be nominated for this year's Oscars, the 94th Oscars, can be found on HBO Max. And it's not a newer movie, but it is newer to HBO Max, and I am talking about The Menu. If you haven't checked out The Menu yet, you're in for a trip. This movie is a little... I've heard a lot of different reviews. I've heard it was overly complicated and confusing. The satire was too much. People didn't understand what was the point. I, however, thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a great commentary about food culture and about the people who enjoy it, both as the consumer and the creator. I think it was a great movie about art and what people are willing to do for their art, how far they are willing to go, and how aggravating it can be to have people disrespecting the art that you've worked so hard for. Now, this movie is can be surprising, can be a little graphic at times, so be aware. But this movie, I think, is going to sneak it into one of those lower nominations for the Oscars. I don't think it's going to win, but I could definitely see it at least getting nominated because it is such a unique movie. And Hollywood enjoys these little satires. They enjoy to kind of poke fun at other industries except for themselves. Every once in a while they'll make fun of themselves, but not typically. But I definitely think The Menu is worth the watch, and it's probably going to be worth the nomination as well. So go ahead and tune in to HBO Max to check out The Menu. Let me know what you think about it. And my next movie can unfortunately only be found on pay-per-view, so I'm talking about YouTube Prime subscriptions, Prime, Apple TV, any of those, but you can't actually access it at home if you did not get the chance to see it in theaters because it did have such a short, limited theatrical release. I'm talking about Triangle of Sadness. Yes, a satirical comedy led by Woody Harrelson centered around the idea that a bunch of stinking rich people, are on a giant yacht to enjoy themselves, the boat sinks, and they end up stranded on an island. What more could you want? It sounds fantastic, it's entertaining, it's over the top. If you enjoy Family Guy, there's a couple things in here that will remind you of Family Guy because it seems like Family Guy in real life. This movie is interesting. It's entertaining to say the least. It's got a good social commentary about things, but I don't think that this is going to win Best Picture. I think it's got a couple things working against it. It just hasn't had the wide-scale appeal that a lot of these other movies have had, especially like Top Gun. The Menu currently is surging. Elvis did great at the box office. This movie, it just hasn't been seen by enough people. I think that if this movie was to get onto a streaming service, maybe Peacock picks it up, HBO, Netflix, one of these services, it's going to have a very strong push come nominations and leading up to Showtime, but without it, I just don't see it being able to walk away with the win. However, I think it's going to sneak into one of those bottom tier spots just because it wasn't a great movie year. There's a lot of movies that I'm going to be leaving off of this list. Some of them are crowd favorites. Some of them did pretty decently or very well at the box office. But based off of my industry knowledge, what I think that the Academy typically goes for, I just don't see this one walking away with a win, but I can see it getting a nomination. It seems to be one of those movies that Hollywood will definitely enjoy, especially those older critics who kind of like to poke fun at themselves. So definitely check out Triangle of Sadness if you haven't done so, but like I said, you're going to have to rent or you're going to have to outright buy this one, so be aware of that. And my next prediction for Oscar nominee is going to be probably the most financially successful movie. It's going to be the one that has made the most waves, pun intended. I'm talking about Avatar: The Way of Water. The only way to catch this one right now is going to be in theaters, and I don't think that's going to change for a while. It just recently passed, I think it was Jurassic World, as the 7th most profitable movie, and it has only been out for about 3 or 4 weeks. So continue to see this one just rise and rise and rise at the box office. Now, dollars do not equal wins. Good audience score does not equal wins either. And I think that Avatar, as good as people are enjoying it, as good as it may be, as good as it may look, it's just not going to win Best Picture. And it has nothing to do against the movie. I think the movie is great. I think the movie is well worth the watch, and it's well worth the price of admission. Go see it in 3D and IMAX if you can. But it's not something that the Academy will typically award. I mean, they didn't even nominate Endgame, right? So these heavily CGI movies aren't just things that the Academy typically pays too much attention to. They kind of go to Martin Scorsese, Marvel, and, all these CGI kind of things are just, they're like amusement parks. They're great rides, but they don't really do a whole lot, say a whole lot. And I feel like Avatar kind of falls back into that same motion. Now, is this an entertaining movie? Absolutely. It looks incredible, like I just said. But it's probably not going to win. I can't see it being in the top 5, but unfortunately the Oscars don't really give us a ranking. They only give us the winner. But I think that Avatar is going to make a strong push. It is already making a strong push. It is a long movie. Prepare yourselves. If you are not aware, this movie is long. So definitely be aware of that whenever you go check it out. Definitely let me know what you thought about Avatar. A lot of people have mixed reviews. Some say it's really good. Some say it's just a retelling of the first. It's, it's a little overhyped. But let me know what you think. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought it was a great popcorn flick. Definitely check it out in theaters if you can. But yeah, drop a comment down below. Let me know. What have you thought about Avatar 2, The Way of Water? And my next possible nomination is going to be a Steven Spielberg movie. Yes, a lot of people were not even aware that Steven Spielberg came out with a movie this year because it had such a small theatrical release because of movies like Wakanda Forever and Avatar, Top Gun, so it kind of got pushed to the side, which is unfortunate because this is a great movie. Critics have loved this movie. It's been a little hit or miss for most people who have gotten the chance to see it. However, I think it has a very solid chance of being within the top 3, maybe 4 movies in that final push to win the Best Picture Oscar. It is Steven Spielberg, so of course it looks great. The story itself, I enjoyed. I think that it was a pretty good movie. I understand that a lot of people say that there were a lot of problems with it. It had a lot of things, it just didn't really hit all the marks it should have. And it especially is not ringing true with a lot of the younger audience like myself or even people younger than I am. However, if you're someone who's enjoyed Steven Spielberg and was aware that this movie came out and got the chance to see it, I know people loved it. So I'm going to say that Fabelmans may be in the top 3, maybe the top 4, but it's still not going to be walking away with the win this year. But I think that Steven Spielberg, if this gets dropped into a streaming service, might have a very solid push later into the voting and especially right up into March whenever the Academy Awards debut. But like I said, unfortunately, you're either going to have to buy this one or rent this one as well. But definitely check this out. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg after all. So definitely check out The Fabelmans whenever you get a chance. And moving right into my next nomination, I'm going to say that this is probably one of the front runners. I think these last 3 that I'm going to throw at you are probably the top 3, which was by accident. This just happens to be the order I wrote them on. But this next one can unfortunately, just like The Fabelmans, only be found on pay-per-view, so you are either going to have to buy this one outright or you're going to have to rent it. Prices are a little fluctuating. Sometimes they change, so be aware of that. But I'm talking about the movie Tar. Now, if you haven't checked out Tar, or even if you have, a lot of people might think that this is a biopic. Much like Elvis, they're probably thinking that this is about a real person, somebody who is really out there, centered around this famous conductor played by Cate Blanchett, who is definitely going to be nominated for her own Oscar for Best Actress. This movie is all about art and passion and the descent of what you're willing to do to, make your dreams come true. Your art, your passion and what you really care about, accessible to the world, how far you're willing to push it, and how it can just slowly change and corrupt you and things like that. So definitely check out Tar if you haven't seen it. It is well worth a watch. Definitely think it, the main actress, Cate Blanchett, like I said, is going to end up walking away with a Best Actress, not only nomination, but probably a win. But like I said, you can only check this one out if you rent it or if you buy it, but definitely check out Tar if you haven't done so. And my next nomination is going to be a movie that is currently, I think, the front runner for most critics and for most people who have seen it. And it did get a lot of viewership. It can currently be seen on Showtime with a Showtime subscription. So check this out. Get that free trial. Go ahead and give that subscription a pay. Make sure that you got Showtime because you can check out everything, everywhere, all at once. Now, this movie is a multiverse movie. It's the multiverse movie that everybody wished Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness could have been, should have been, and would have been, but unfortunately it wasn't. This is a movie you need to check out if you enjoy that multiversal kind of aspect. The premise is simple, but, reality is falling apart, different dimensions are interconnecting, and it takes one person, and she's got to go out there and basically be an action hero and save the world and use everything from all these different realities. Now, this movie is very entertaining. It has a lot of action, great set pieces. The chemistry between the actors is fantastic, and then overall, I think that this is right up there. It's either going to win or it's going to be the runner-up. And I think that's about as much as I can tell you because I don't want to spoil too much of the movie. But Everything Everywhere All at Once can be, like I said, seen on Showtime. And I think right now it's looking like this may be the winner of the 2023 Academy Award for Best Picture. But I have one more nomination for you guys. And this one, like I said, I think this might be able to be interchanged with Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is typically the type of movie that the Oscars really enjoy. This one can be viewed on HBO Max, and I am talking about The Banshees of Inisherin. Yes, this is a slower movie. Yes, this was a great movie. Yes, this movie seemed a little odd just based off of the trailers, but this movie was fantastic, and it is the exact kind of movie that the Academy tends to nominate and sometimes, actually most times, tends to throw the win at. This is all about friendship, all about revenge, all about what you would go through to try to get your friends back, what it's like to feel by yourself and abandoned and confused, and then it's all about revenge as well. There's a whole lot of stuff packed into this movie, and Colin Farrell delivers one of his best acting performances. He has just been on fire, and he will continue to be so for a while, just based off of what he has coming down the pipe. I think that Colin Farrell will actually get a Best Actor nomination and maybe even a win. I didn't really think that there were too many great male acting performances that weren't action-based, and this is definitely not action-based. This is full drama. This is a slow burn film. It's got a little bit of humor to it, but it's, like I said, it's deep, it's emotional, it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye, the way the camera moves, the way that the set is, using the landscape, the different sets of inside these kinds of houses. Overall, I think this movie was fantastic, and like I said, I think that the Oscar for Best Picture is going to be either between The Banshees of Inisherin or Everything Everywhere All at Once. Both movies were incredible. Both are very different in their viewership and how audiences are perceiving and accepting them. But right now, I think those are our two front runners. I would probably lean with Banshees as being the winner right now. But any of those movies, like I said, who have not hit streaming services yet, could get a very late surge into the Oscars. So be aware of that. Be aware of what's coming to streaming service. I will do my best to keep you updated. If you don't follow me on Instagram or anything like that, go ahead and do so at @TheLucasHughes. I also post some stuff over there, and especially some updates or little shorter reviews, polls, stuff like that. I'll be doing a lot more of that stuff here on the Houston Productions channel as well, so don't miss out on that. And there we have it, guys. My early Oscar predictions. I am bringing you these right before the Golden Globes. If you were not aware, the Golden Globes are on January 10th, so if the day that this video is dropping, the Golden Globes will be happening later on that evening. And the Golden Globes typically aren't a good indicator of the Oscars, but they give us an idea of how people are currently feeling and how they're viewing all these movies. So definitely check out the Golden Globes. Like I said, I wouldn't look at them and be like, oh look, this movie's definitely going to win because it won at the Globes. That's typically not the case. I believe Power at the Dog won last year, and Coda ended up winning at the Oscars. So be aware. But entertaining show, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Golden Globes moves forward past this year, having taken a break from last year. How's the Hollywood Foreign Press change? How is the voting? How is all the evening going to go? It'll be well worth the watch. But there we have it, guys. My top 10 nomination list for who I think is going to be nominated for the Oscars. I'll read them back for you one more time. That's Babylon, Babylon, Elvis, Top Gun Maverick, The Menu, Triangle of Sadness, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Fabelmans, Tar, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Banshees of Inisherin. So go ahead and drop a comment down below, guys. Who do you think is going to win the Oscar for Best Picture this year? Who do you want to win? If you think I left someone off this list who's probably going to get nominated, let me know down there in the comment section. Let's start a conversation about the Oscars. I know me and my students have already started having ours. With that being said, guys, I'm your host here at Houston Productions. If you haven't done so, like I said, give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Happy watching.